This is the Simpit video blog, and today's story came to us from one of our viewers who informed me of an article that was at Gizmodo that talked about Oculus and the rough year that they've actually had. And I thought it was something that I'd actually want to sit down and talk to you guys about and get your opinion and feedback on the whole topic as well. And I have to admit, I do have a lot of experience with Oculus. I've used it a lot. I don't use it here, but I've used it at places I've worked. And many of you don't know this, but I actually get hired at trade shows from time to time to work the trade show for a sim-related company. And that's something that I kind of do on the side a little bit. And often Oculus is there. So I've seen it firsthand going through the masses and the kind of opinion that people have. And in addition to that, I've also seen the kind of problems that Oculus can have. But I will say this, when we aren't using Oculus in those scenarios, or when I'm talking about the Simpit and the emails and the comments that I get, one of the most common topics is VR, especially if it's not being used. And they always want to see, do we do VR as well? And VR is a very big topic, but on the other hand, here's this article at Gizmodo, and it talks about a rough year for Oculus. And one of the things, there are a few reasons they're mentioning it being an Oculus, so let's go through a few of them. Number one, their sales have been way lower than they expected. 350,000 units is the predicted amount, says this article. I don't know the exact number, but that falls way short of the over 2 million units that the PlayStation VR has sold, and I don't know what Samsung has done, but I think they're doing pretty well as well. So low sales units is number one. Number two, they've had demo stations at Best Buy, 500 stores in fact, and they are closing like 300 of the stores. Down to 200 stores are only going to have the Oculus, less than half than they started with. And when it comes to VR, for me, it's one of those things that if you try it, you will have a certain opinion, versus if you've never used it, you might have a completely different opinion. So having a good demo station is actually very critical to the success of VR and Oculus in particular. In addition to those problems, they also had a lawsuit this year. They lost $500 million, and they lost this for some reason to do with John Carmack, formerly of ZeniMax, and them being sued by ZeniMax and actually having to give up $500 million. When you consider Facebook paid somewhere between $2 and $3 billion for the company, that's a really big hit. So those are the problems. Now, for me, I mean, VR is a really important thing, and the experience is really amazing. And I've just been waiting for it to get to that next level. And I look at something like this, and I think about 3D. I know I'm all over the place here a little bit, but I think about 3D, and it was so mind-blowing for a little while, especially after the movie Avatar. I saw that in one of the comments, and I thought it was very relevant. And then it kind of just went away. And here we are with VR. And is that another one of these things? I mean, you have purchase price as a problem. You have software support. There just isn't a lot to do with the VR just yet, and it is mainly limited to gaming. So that's a factor. That puts it into a niche market, being gaming, not the general public. How are you going to get those massive sales unless it is the general public? So I'd like to hear your opinion on VR. I think this is a great debate. Is it the next big thing? Is it something you have to have? Is it something you hope survives this world where trends come and go? Is it just a fad, or is it here to stay? It just needs further development. So these are the kind of questions that I really do wonder. And again, when I'm at these trade shows, seeing, you know, the percentage of people who get sick, I'm seeing hardware issues with the plugs not always working. I'm seeing issues where it's a great experience for me, but it's not a great shared experience. And with that, it's like putting on a helmet. If I sweat in it, the last thing you'd want to do is put on my sweaty helmet. So if you're talking about a lot of people using it, anything that's going to raise your heart rate like gaming, it's going to create that whole other problem. So anyway, the article is at Gizmodo. I'll go ahead and put a link here with the description of the show so you can read the article for yourself. But I'd love to hear your opinion on VR in general, Oculus versus its competition, or are they just having little problems? So I would love to hear your opinion on this. I do think this is one of the big questions moving forward for not just gaming, but sim racing in particular. VR. Is this something that we're all going to be using in the coming years, or is this something that we will laugh about and forget about, a little bit like 3D? So this is the Simpit video blog. I'd like to thank the viewer out there for sending this in. If you have any ideas, suggestions for the show, something I should talk about, get the opinion of our viewers, please send it to me at sean@thesimpit.com, and I'll be sure to add it to our show. This is the Simpit video blog. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.